We're here in Las Vegas for the I Hate Insurance podcast. Because we know everybody hates insurance. You can be honest.
Yeah, we do.
It's
I like it when you're around.
I'm here with exciting people. I'm the boring insurance guy.
You're probably the coolest one here.
Yeah, for real.
So tell us about where you grew up and how you got started.
Ladies first.
All right,
I'm a Southern gentleman.
Born and raised in South Carolina, and throughout college, I actually owned a bakery with my mom. We were really good at making gourmet cupcakes and French macarons.
And you didn't bring any for us to sample?
No, dude, listen, every year at SHOT Show, people are like, where are your freaking macarons? Because I've even had people from France say, this is better than what we have. So I was just like, yeah. They're actually one of the
Hear
really...
that, France? Shots fired.
They're the hardest, gourmet dessert item to make. But I was shooting guns on the side just for fun. And Instagram was still a growing platform at the time. So I basically just grew with the platform, started making more gun content and just having fun and doing what I like to do. And next thing I know, I have people wanting me sending me like free holsters. And I was like, oh, I get free stuff? I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to keep doing this. And, then it turned into like, this is actually what people want to do now. Like, it's been 10 years, I feel like. And now kids want to be like a YouTuber or a creator. Now that's what it's all about. At the time, I was still figuring it out. It wasn't a thing. So yeah, then I got Activision hit me up. They're the creators for the video game Call of Duty. And they were like, we love your look and that you can run and gun. We want to bring you in to our facility, scan you in, and put your creator in the game. And I was like, is there some like teenager trolling me in their mom's basement right now? And I was like, no, I don't believe this for a second. So I hopped on a call, and it was legit. And next thing I knew, I'm flying to LA, getting my body scan and all these crazy faces and making really cool content. And then my mom got to see me die on Call of Duty over and over again. She's like, can you stop sending me videos of your brain getting smashed in? And she's like, I can't look at this anymore. But now I just pretty much focus on YouTube content and having fun shooting guns.
So how many followers do you have?
YouTube, I'm at 2.2 million. Instagram at 1.1 million.
So do you get negative? Do you get people who don't like that you run and gun?
I mean, most of my content is firearm stuff, or I went gator hunting in Florida. We took out a 13-foot gator, and I mean, people were just, how dare you kill a, majestic animal? And I'm like, you stick your toe in that water, and that will literally swallow you whole. Like, I have a picture of me standing next to him or laying next to him in the ground. I mean, his head is like half my body. I was just like, dude, this, they have no natural predator. There's over 1 million of them in Florida.
There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah, they want you, like the state literally like gives out, the tags for you to remove them. So yeah, sometimes there's some hate in there, but it's because they don't understand.
They don't have to follow you.
Right. It's usually people who
Go
don't.
away.
Happy.
No,
That's
you
something
can't.
I've definitely learned you can't make everybody happy.
No, especially in insurance.
No matter what.
I can make everybody happy. You just have to listen to me. Most people are like, no, I'm not paying any more for insurance. It's crap.
Yeah, usually.
So, go Adam.
Well, my name is Adam Scherr, a.k.a. WWE superstar Braun Strowman. So a little back history on myself. Yeah, I grew up in a little town of Sherrilsford, North Carolina.
Oh, you're from the Carolinas too?
Yeah,
I had
I'm
no
a Carolina
idea.
boy. So got
Hell
that
yeah.
ink right there.
Nice.
Representing. So yeah, I grew up in Sherrilsford, North Carolina on the beautiful shores of the majestic Lake Norman. Yeah, played all sports through high school, stuff like that, wrestled in high school. Was the local town mechanic for 11 years, and I was working nightclubs downtown Charlotte and ran into some guys that used to compete in World's Strongest Man competitions and invited me out to try World's Strongest Man. It's something that I've always been interested in and never really knew how to get into.
Were you like
it.
training
I wasn't
at the
really
time?
training for it, so I was more trying to be like the pretty boy, like this was the
wanna be big muscles,
era, the big fake diamond earrings, like the faux hawk. That's the
All the
era.
studs on your jeans.
Yes, I was more worried about being like pretty boy, but I was still like 295 pounds. So these guys asked me, like, what do you do? Like, you're big, you work at security. And they're like, well, like, you want to come try Strowman? I was like, sure. So I gave Strowman a try, trained for 2 weeks, won my first competition that I'd tried ever doing Strowman, the Beast of the East in Columbia, South Carolina.
Wow.
Then went on a 2-year career as an amateur strongman, winning North America's Strongest Man in 2011, winning the Arnold Amateur World Championship in 2012, and then signing with WWE in 2013. I've been with the company, minus I took 1 year unpaid vacation in the last decade I've been with WWE, but one life. So
it sounds like you were just like
it's just like
1 year after the next.
It really is like it's so crazy just how go that my life has been. And my dad was a professional athlete playing slow pitch softball and stuff, so I grew up traveling all over the country with him when I was a kid and stuff like that. So been all over the world, met a lot of cool people, doing awesome stuff. Like I said, getting to sit down with people like you that I've literally played you in a video game. How cool is it you're sitting down with not just one person, but 2 people that are in video games?
Yeah.
Like that's what I have to constantly pinch myself of like seeing myself immortalized in plastic with like a 6-pack abs. Because I don't walk around with a 6-pack all the time, but like seeing that I got to that point and they made an action figure out of it and stuff like that for
That's
a
pretty
kid
cool.
a kid that was told he was never going to amount to nothing, grew up bullied, was homeless. 11 years ago, so when I moved to Florida to start wrestling for WWE, I was sleeping on people's couches. I moved to Florida. Everything I own in a Kia Soul with $150 in my pocket, like 40 grand in credit card debt.
Wow.
I slept on my buddy's girlfriend's couch for 3 months while I was getting my feet underneath me and getting going. And now we're here, sitting in this beautiful room at the Wynn in Las Vegas with Rick, Lindsey, Alex Zedra. Like, life's freaking awesome.
It is.
Well,
Life
I'm
is
not a
crazy.
big video gamer, so I haven't seen you guys in any video games. I'm sorry about that. But my kids definitely have.
Yeah.
So,
Anytime someone's like, "Oh, I play your character in Call of Duty," and I'm like, "Cool. How many times have you killed me?" Is the real question. They're like, "Oh, I'm pretty good." I'm like, "All right, good."
But it's like, how cool is that? Also said for you to be like, that is one of the most iconic video game series ever.
Right,
If not the most iconic video game. I mean, other than like Halo, let's be for real. Halo's the OG first-person shooter.
Right.
But then Call of Duty, like with the franchise that it's done, and to see where that game is
Like
coming.
Halo kind of fell off a little bit, but Call of Duty still every year's, kept up with what the community wants. It's a little bit different each year, so it's not the same thing over and over again. But if there was any game that I would want to be in, it would be Call of Duty. Like, that was it. Like,
right.
I never would have ever thought that would ever happen to me, ever. Life is just crazy. Like, the opportunities you get that you don't even plan for just
But you have to
appear.
be in the game, right? If
Yeah,
you're not out there
yeah,
in the game,
right.
then
You
don't
got to
the
get your foot in there a
opportunity.
little bit. You can't just twiddle your thumbs in a corner and hope something falls in your lap.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty like surreal. I was like, is this really happening? I was like, no. And they didn't contact me for a while, and I was like, maybe they don't like me. And I was like, did I say something bad? I was like, was it the guns? Is it my social media? And you're like, all these thoughts get in your head, and I was like, well, maybe they just don't like me. And they didn't tell me that. I was no follow up, nothing. And then I get a text and someone's like, "You're on my Xbox." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah." And then I get an email from Call of Duty saying, "Hey, your character launches tomorrow." And I'm just like, you left me hanging for like 6 months. I had no idea that you're even going to continue to use me. And then the game, like, it updates and I install the game, and there I am, like, on the cover of season 1, Call of Duty. Because I didn't launch when the game launched. I launched for season 1, so it was like a new character update.
It was like a DLC thing.
Yeah, it was. It was like new maps came out, new multiplayer options, new guns, and a new character. That new character was me. So I was like, well, the game came out, and I don't see myself. They haven't told me anything. I was like, oh, well, the next thing will happen. And the next thing I know, people are like, the game just updated, and you're on the front. I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to go play with myself. Oh, that sounded really weird.
I'm not touching that. Nope, not getting canceled. But I get it. It's the same thing. I catch myself playing with myself when I get a new action figure. Like I just had a new Elite figure from Mattel come out, and I had another Funko Pop, and I'm like sitting here like I'm playing with myself. And it's not a bad thing.
Right, yeah. Like, I'll say be frowned
That's the
upon.
first time you ever thought that.
Yeah, right. Usually my mom was like, "Hey, it's gonna make you go blind."
Leave that there alone.
Oh God. Yeah, I grew up with a brother. That stuff's not pleasant.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about playing with action figures.
Let's sneak into why you guys hate hate insurance.
Hate X insurance?
And Rick's gonna solve all the problems from what you hate.
They don't know why they hate it.
Look, I can be honest. Like I've had some quarrels with the insurance stuff. I live in Florida, and you know how the homeowners insurance situation is down there right now with everything. So, yeah, we had that big hurricane 2 years ago that absolutely flattened Fort Myers. Can't even remember. They're not even worth talking about her name, giving them a free rub, whatever it is. But I had homeowners insurance. Hail damage. Every house in my cul-de-sac had their roof redone. I filed a claim because I started having a leak in my garage. Insurance company denied. I was like, all right, I got to take you to court for it. So all this stuff, I get dropped 48 hours before the hurricane hits in Florida. They drop no coverage on my house. I'm 1 inch from water being inside of my house and stuff like that. And I've just heard horror stories, especially in the state of Florida, with everything that happened and stuff like that. And just, that's my biggest quarrel, is just like dealing with this homeowner stuff. Like you pay all this money, and at the end of the day, like, when you need somebody or when you need the company there and you've paid thousands and thousands of dollars over the years,
I say it's like the playground when we grew up. You know, when you pick teams and, play Army, whatever, you knew who you wanted because you knew who you could win with. Mm-hmm. You knew who would run for the hills when a real fight broke out. So, again, most people buy on price. Right? You call an agent, the agent's give you the
cheapest price.
And it's which one's cheapest. And I say to people, look, what you want to do is, that's important, but jump forward and say, what does a claim look like? Right? Let's say a hailstorm comes through and my roof's damaged. Are you going to come fix it? And the answer is no. They're writing you because they've underwritten you and you fit the box of somebody who's not going to have a claim. And when you call your agent in Florida, most of the time, they'll try and discourage you from reporting it. And I always ask them, why? Why don't you tell them to report it? And it's like, because they'll get canceled. I'm like, that's it right there. That's what you should be telling them when they buy. It's like, do you want insurance that you can't use? Mm-hmm. Or do you want insurance who's going to actually come make you happy? And that's where you actually run through a mock. Just like anything, right? Let's pretend like you had a claim. Let's pretend, what am I going to get paid? So, if it costs you $500 to build your house per square foot and you insure it for $200, which is what most people do, they underinsure the value. Well, now you can't get the policy value because you didn't actually insure the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It'd be like having 12 rounds in your clip and you only have 6 in there. You can't get more than that.
Right.
So, there's all of these little tricks, and of course, they think they're trying to avoid paying a claim. That's why every time when what can happen does happen, and Florida is like on steroids. It's like a little experiment. You can see that when something happens, earthquake, it's going to be the same. They hire some third party to come out and look at your roof. It's not the insurance company, it's a third party, and they're now re-underwriting you. They're doing what they did to give you a price, but now they're going through it in the mock, and they're like, "Oh, you're underinsured." I guarantee you, they said your roof was old, right? So it was like 10 years old.
That was one of the things.
There's only 10 years left in it, so we're only paying you half, and you're like, "Huh?" So I got my deductible. I got to come up with the other half of the roof, and most people don't have that money. So if you have a $500,000 house. You have a 10% roof deductible or storm deductible. How many people with a $500,000 house have $50,000 laying around when the roof's gone? Zero.
And that's something I thought of exactly what you said, because I'm fortunate at this point in my life where I am financially stable. And I think about, especially in the economy that we're in right now, a mother, father with kids and all this stuff, and exactly what you said. Like, now something happens to your roof, your house is leaking, whatever, you go to do an insurance claim. Now you got to figure out where you got to come up with $50,000 when you're living week to week on top of it.
And then your insurance company looks at you and says, well, you can't perform. So my solution is always look ahead of the ball. Everything's back to the playground and, athletics. So if you have a $50,000 roof deductible, which I wouldn't sell you, if you had a $50,000 claim, I'd sell you 10%. So you'd pay 10% or $5,000 and I'd pay $45,000. And now we're working to fix your roof. then I keep insuring you because you now have a new roof.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
all
not
the
going to cost you
dumbass.
anything later. It's already
not,
brand new.
not lose a settlement in court, pay out for the roof, and then drop you anyways.
Yeah, and so, you know, again, how insurance disappears when people need it shows that it's a broken model. In Florida, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again for the last 50 years, and that's why the lawyers are getting rich, and insurance guys are hated.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it is choices buyers make too. I don't believe until now you've had a choice. So we sell a homeowner's policy that covers everything. It's called an all-in-one. Anything that's different in the condition of that building, mudslide, sinkhole, flood, it doesn't really matter. You know, the old-fashioned approach is we'll cover your home, but we don't cover flood. And I always tell people that's like being half pregnant. You can't be half pregnant. Somebody got mad at me for saying that, and I'm trying to
I was
figure
like,
out.
these days, I don't know.
I'm like, you know, so you're saying a guy can't get pregnant? Is that
Right.
why I'm in trouble? You know, but if a guy can't get pregnant, he can't be half pregnant. I guarantee it. Anybody that get pregnant's pregnant. So anyway, do the whole job, right? And in life, when you know, you're trying to build yourself and a reputation, you can't do that by being a dirtbag. You know, eventually it all catches up with you. And if you do good things and treat people good, I think it just eventually works out for you. You know, don't do the way that it's always been done. When I ask my employees, why do we do that way? It's the way we've always done it. Like, well, that's a good reason to think of a new way, right? If there is a better way, let's think about it. Let's not just do the old way. And insurance people have been doing the same for 100 years, and it doesn't work. So anyway, I don't really hate insurance. I just think it's a good title.
Insurance sucks. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so I live on a river, and then I, 10 miles away is also the beach. So we're like, if you look at the map, like insurance, when I,
you're
looking
in
for
the
a
flood
quote,
zone.
I'm in, like, you'll see, like, some red and some yellow. I'm like burgundy, like we are almost, it is dark. Like, that is how often we flood. We had,
So how long have you lived there?
it's been about 3 years,
So
but
what's your experience? Have you had floods?
yes. So before I actually bought the home when the first sale sign was underwater, so I got a pretty good deal.
Right. Like, I'll buy that.
I'm like, I can't. I'm like, yeah. Is this the real estate agent? I can't really get your number. It's underwater right now. But I love the area. I was born and raised there, and I knew what situation I was getting myself into. The home's on stilts.
Right.
We had what we call the 1,000-year flood in South Carolina. It was 11 feet, I think, and so it was high enough to where it almost got in the house. But everyone who lives in that area, they always have canoes or kayaks tied up to their mailboxes. They park at the highway and they just swim to your house, or that's just the lifestyle out there every now and then. Yeah.
But you really didn't have any damage because the water stayed
Right, so there was
below.
no damage to the home. The ductwork just needed to be replaced because it was underneath the house. So I was like, okay, maybe insurance won't be that bad. There was no prior damage to any flooding, and that one was a 1,000-year flood. That's just very uncommon to happen.
That's why I don't believe in those flood maps, because it tells you about the land, but it doesn't tell you about the actual structure.
Right, it's like it's high enough to where
If you
even
built
if I
new,
knew
that-
it was going to be that bad again, I know that our vehicles or anything else underneath the house would be totally destroyed, but the home itself would be okay. But they were still just like, insurance is high. We had to get separate flood insurance, which is also high. Like, I didn't even understand what I was getting into with the insurance policies, because I feel like I was like 2 or 3 different policies just to get this house covered. And I'm like, but there's no prior damage. There's no history of damage done to this home. So, but it still sucked. And I was like, well, I guess I got to pay it if I want to have insurance on the house, because no one would insure it.
So the flood policy you buy is offered by the government, and it has a limit of 200,000, which was set up in the 50s and 60s because that's what most houses were. So if you buy federal flood, which most people have it, 200,000 is the max limit on the house, and commercial buildings have $500,000. Well, most houses now are worth way more than they were in the, you have
Yeah.
a $5 million house, you get 200,000 a flood.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, Congress said you can now buy private flood. So that's when we started, everything in one policy. If you write my homeowners and you exclude flood, and I write the flood, and we both go out and look at a damaged house, we're not going to agree on where the flood damage is and where the homeowner,
Yeah.
we're going to be trying to push it on each other.
Right.
Because that's what people do.
Right, because you don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, one policy eliminates all of that bullshit, and I call it bench the lawyers, right? If we do our job right, you really can eliminate lawyers most of the time with good people. When we have people die helicopter skiing or a kid hurt at a water park, if people didn't have insurance, you would learn how to manage that on your own, or you wouldn't have a successful business. You'd take care of the kid, and the mom would say, "Oh man, my Johnny got hurt there," but they called me and they paid his $50 deductible, and they were great, and they take him back. Or you run away from the problem because you have insurance, and they say, "Don't pay that. That admits liability." Well, you're ruining your reputation and your community, rep. And so, again, if people didn't have insurance, they would think smarter, right? But when you buy insurance, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Oh man, my insurance company's handling it.
Yeah.
Well, every time you've thought that, you've ended up unhappy because they don't handle it, right? They're trying to pay as little as they can, and they would be smarter if they thought, maybe I'll pay more and make it, because they promote and do all this advertising for an image, and then they ruin that image when you have a claim and they don't pay you, and you find out all the fine print.
Well, so like for me, with like buying my house, the house in Florida was the first house I ever bought, and like I didn't know, I don't know what I'm doing, and so like I know I need insurance, so like I let the bank and everything do everything for the insurance. So they're the ones that gave me the insurance and all this stuff. So it's just like, how is you one of the leaders in the insurance industry? What is something you can do to help educate people when they're in these situations or whatever? Basically, my hand was forced. Okay, this is what I got to get insurance.
It's like lender insurance is so much higher than if you were to get it out yourself before you close.
Yeah,
I found that out the
I
hard
had
way.
no idea, and they're like, "Well, this is what you need. This will cover this." I was like, "Okay," and then put it on there, and
Yeah,
then
I was like,
look, and
whatever.
it's like $7,000 a year I'm paying for insurance, and I go to get a claim on the roof. It's like, "Yeah, we're not paying it. We're canceling you."
Yeah.
So how is there something like what's something?
Well, I would say the biggest challenge I have, right, and I get in trouble all the time, so I may as well just say this. In high school, when you're with your buddies, and it's like, "Quit cock blocking me, dude." So that is what goes on in the insurance business. You got all these insurance agents and brokers out there that have done it the standard way for 50 years. Right, and here comes stupid Rick Lindsey, farm kid from Utah, and I'm like, that seems stupid to me. We ought to be doing it this way. And 20 years ago, I didn't know. I wasn't sure that I was right, but I was pretty sure. Now, after 20 years, I know I'm right. So these agents and brokers that are out there, they've all been trained in this way. It'd be like anything, right? Wrestling, guns, you come up with a new idea. All the more educated, smarter people, lawyers, and again, I hire a lot of lawyers. Every time I win, we do what they tell me not to do. They say settle, and based on you're my insured, this is what we're going to do. The lawyers try and like knock you off course, and like Remington, settle that lawsuit. It'll save the company. Well, that didn't work out. I mean, Remington was the biggest, best, and they thought they had the biggest, best insurance, but you think they would survive an event. There's other companies who have been involved in events like that and have been sued, and they didn't end up where. So it is decision making, right? So as a buyer, I again tell everybody, look, pretend like you have a claim. Walk through that and say, what about my roof? What if it's a hail claim? What if it's a flood claim? Is that covered? And the answer is no. It's a separate policy. If they give you a $50,000 deductible, can you come up with the 50? My policy and the way I approach it, if you can't, I loan you the money. I become your next mortgage payment because the job is fix the house, right? And so that's what the buyer should say. Okay, Mr. Agent, tell me after the next storm or after the next hailstorm, how is my claim going to be handled to where I'm a happy homeowner, I'm a happy customer? And most of them can't answer that question, but it'll at least get them to think about what I propose, right? Most of them, again, if you paid $7,000 for insurance, I'm going to be 10. But you have a separate flood policy and you paid for that, so you really didn't pay 7, you probably paid 8. And you have a bigger deductible, I give you, so it's math, but you know, if you pay $50,000 on a roof claim, the whole thing, under my approach, you pay $5,000 and I pay $45,000. That's a big fucking savings to you.
Right.
And that is part of the math that people don't do because they never play the claim out.
They just look at the 12-month period or whatever they can get just to say, or just give me insurance and I'll just
How much is it going to cost me every month?
Right.
Yeah.
They just want to save the most monthly breakdown versus looking at the bigger picture for when something actually does happen. You're like, oh, this is actually a really bad idea.
Well, and when you're buying your first house, most people overbuy. They can't afford the house, and you know, like your car, you go up to, I want the nicer car, then the insurance, and so you're buying the cheapest thing on your first house, and it is a disaster. That's where citizens, you know, they're always going to be there for the what I would call the first-time buyer that can't do it, right? But as you build assets and you gain wealth, then you should become a smarter buyer towards like, you know, I really do need this. I mean, there's, you know, very wealthy families with a whole estate plan with a house in Florida that's worth $20 million. I'm like, so storm knocks out your house, is that going to affect your family estate plan? I guarantee it is.
Yeah.
If they don't have flood
'Cause they don't have
insurance and it's a
anything.
$20 million claim, that's unexpected. So I promote it to estate planners and everybody that pushes themselves as an advisor. It's like, you know, look for the gaps and the holes that really affect people's lives. And, you know, again, a family can't come up with that $50,000. It's my job to loan them the money, right? Or I shouldn't have ever taken their money. If you know it's going to end up a disaster, what are you if you're taking people's money?
Right.
You know,
Criminal
you're-
at the end of the
Thank
day.
you.
Yeah.
Stealing their money and
That's what I'm dealing with right now. We're going through a lawsuit with my HOA. So I have a few condos, oceanfront, and there is just chaotic with HOA and the owners, and it's a condo hotel. So they have people that check in the hotel side, but then there's owners that own parts of the units in there, and it's just a constant freaking battle of things not getting done. We have the HOA, the property management is just taking money from everybody. I mean, I'm paying $500 a month for a studio, which is fair for, you know, we got like
That's
multiple,
HOA fees?
yeah, just for
No, let's be
one.
for real. HOAs fucking suck.
But they don't do anything. It's
Literally,
like
they
the pools
talk
will
about
break.
stealing money.
The
Yeah.
pools will break. There's like the awning is falling down. People are like, oh my God, this is a ghetto place. But my units are really, really nice. And I'm just like, you know, we're getting screwed over here. I'm like, where's this money even going? And
Somebody's
come to
pocket.
find out, we sued them for stealing all of our money, the property management, whoever it was. We finally settled, but it was just very, very shady things were going on, and they were taking everybody's money, not doing anything to the building at all, just enough to get, you know, the water going or whatever, if there's a busted pipe. But that was it. And I was just like, dude, this is a criminal like business. And I was like, how do I get into this? Because I'm like, they're making a killing off these homeowners that are either, a lot of people don't live there. They're just investors that,
Right.
you know, and they just pay it and then they don't really care. They don't see the condition of the building. So these people just take full advantage of investors or homeowners
So
that
most of those condo associations, you know, again, it's all law. But
It's politics.
Somebody has to enforce the law. So you're supposed to have a reserve fund. Like if the building's $50 million, you have a 10% deductible.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to have that money in your account already. None of them do that. They're like,
No.
we're not paying that. We'll never need it. We'll bill it after the storm. And so now in Florida, that's what they're all doing. And the problem, you know, that I have when I deal with any condo associations or any board that's big, you know, if me and you are doing a deal, we can do a deal. You have 12 people, you really never have a deal. There's too many opinions in the room. And,
Yeah.
we have a bunch of associations down in Florida, and the older people, older than me, they don't want to pay a penny more, even if you could improve it and the value of their unit would go up.
That's
right?
that's what I'm fighting with at HOA. There's like older people that are retired. They make just enough from Social Security or whatever. In Myrtle Beach, I mean, there's not much income there unless you own a golf course, or a strip club. Those are your options. Everything. Derrieres, yes. Oh my God. Dude, the name has changed like 4 times since then. It's constantly something different.
God,
Yeah.
that's another podcast.
That's a whole other podcast in its own. But yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, it's nuts. And I'm like, this building is falling apart. Like, I will even pay more than y'all just to get it done, because this is my investment.
And it does save you money to spend money, right? Insurance companies are famous at saying, we're not doing that. Like, flood comes, air conditioners are on the ground. They pay to replace the air conditioners, put them back on the ground. Like, why don't you put those on a stand? Oh, the insurance company wouldn't pay for that. I would.
I don't care.
Next
right.
time, I'm not going to be paying for all those air conditioners that went underwater.
Yeah,
I mean,
spend an extra $100 now to save $10,000.
As you get older, you learn that sometimes being cheap costs you a lot more money in the long run.
I'm seeing that, and I want to go for an assessment on the building, and the people who can't afford the assessment don't want it. So we're at a constant battle at the HOA, the board meetings, and I'm just like, this building is falling apart. We need assessment. And they're like, we can't afford it if it's really, really high. And I'm like, well, that sucks to suck. But like, something has to, you gotta.
I say you bring Adam there and force him to all this.
I'm pretty persuasive.
I don't know. Them Southern women are crazy,
I grew up in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I've been around a few.
Yeah.
Let's finish it off with Alex and Adam. Both of you think of the craziest thing that you want to do, and tell Rick whether you would insure it or not. Let's find out where X would cover.
How about I tell you the craziest thing I want you to do?
All right.
Okay.
I think we should have you redo Will Smith's 50th. You're not 50 yet.
I'm getting there, though.
Okay, so this is like a long-term plan. Out of a helicopter, you bungee jump over the Grand Canyon on your 50th birthday.
All right, so I'm down for that. So I actually,
You're down for that.
I'm down for that. So this is a great time to pitch this to you. So a good friend of mine, Marshall Bush, her grandfather was President George Bush.
Right.
So this year is his 100th anniversary of his birthday. Every year for his birthday, when he was still alive, he jumped out of an airplane.
Right.
So Marshall is talking with, I'm probably going to butcher, but I think it's the Golden Angels is what the planes are. But we're trying to figure out a way to throw my big fat ass out of an airplane.
Yeah,
So
we can
we're
get out of
halfway
a
there.
helicopter.
Yeah.
I don't know about their plane.
I don't very many
I
people
might
jump out
need
of
an insurance
helicopters.
policy. I told him, if you're dumping me out of an airplane with a parachute, it better be a parachute that you throw Humvees out with.
That's right. Triple backup.
Yeah.
Or like a halo jump into the ocean. I don't know. How high? Has anyone even done that before?
Out of a helicopter.
Do people jump out of helicopters?
Oh yeah, they jump out of them.
Isn't it a
all
little
the time
dangerous?
now with wingsuits.
You
and-
just
Better
roll out?
Give her the backstory on why you pitched me jumping out of the helicopter.
I feel like you would get
because I
decapitated if you
insured
tried to
him.
hop
So
out.
no, listen.
I insured Will Smith doing that on his 50. He promoted it. He put it online and everything. It was a big publicity stunt, but nobody would insure it. I knew the bungee guy who Hollywood called, and I insured. He owns a bridge up in Oregon, and they bungee jump off it. So,
Jeez.
but you got to do something with video games, right? But in real life,
And I was like, what was the crazy you in Call of Duty? And I was like, would
Well,
I
you
have
can't
time
get
to do
blown
that?
up in real life.
No, I can't.
There's only you get
Well,
one
I don't
of
know. There's
those.
that suit. Have you seen that suit? It's like this Russian guy made this
bear
like bear
suit?
suit,
Yeah.
and he's chucking himself off a cliff, getting hit by like a train or something, and just getting annihilated. And he's
he
like
comes
not.
out of it.
He literally throws himself off a cliff in a suit, and it's
So-
supposed to
we need to find this bear suit. We'll put you in it, and then square up with me in the wrestling ring. And see what
There we
happens.
go. We should totally do that.
Like, let's be for real. I need some like an insurance policy for every time my dumbass goes up on the top rope and decides to jump off on it. But no, I do have to say we do have good insurance at WWE. Thank you for all that, the surgeries and all that stuff. I've always been very well taken care of medically and stuff like that. So,
Have you had a
very
lot of
thankful.
surgeries?
I've had 4 in 8 years. So I'm recovering right now from a level 1 cervical fusion on my C4 and 5. So I got hit and my head pretty much fell off. They put a
Damn.
metal plate and 4 screws in there to keep it
Yeah,
on.
I had 2.
Oh,
I didn't have insurance.
did you set off a metal detector with that?
I thought so. I was like, is this gonna like increase my possibility of getting struck by lightning?
Is it
But
adamantium though? Are you like
it's titanium, or I don't freaking know what it
titanium?
is.
But I was like, put the stuff that's in Wolverine's body inside of me.
Right, and well, I had it the first time, and then I broke it again with the plate. Come to find out, they didn't put a strong enough plate in because the collarbone is
You're just
such
too,
an
you're too much
easy,
of a badass.
apparently, or an idiot, one of the two. But it was
didn't say
freaking
it.
dirt bikes, dude. And I was just like, you know what? I'm riding dirt bikes. I don't have insurance. This is gonna be really expensive. But I retired the dirt bikes thing, and everyone, all the people I rode with were like, oh yeah, your collarbone. They all have like busted up surgery, out collarbones. So I'm like, they're like, yeah, it's the first thing to go. Some of my buddies had like femurs replaced and I'm like, nope, this
The end
hurts
of the
and this is
road.
very expensive. But luckily, the doctor, he takes on charity cases every now and then, and I
He
was.
knew you from Call of Duty.
This was
I
before Call of
recognize
Duty.
you.
Yeah,
Come
well,
here, free
actually,
surgery.
that happens all the time. So my grandma
You get
yeeted
free
herself down
surgery?
the stairs. my grandma yeeted herself down the stairs. And my husband had to pick her up off the floor. My mom's freaking out, and the EMT ambulance comes in to get her up, and the guy is putting my grandma on the stretcher, and he's like, "I play you in Call of Duty," and I was like, "Take care of my grandma." So it has its perks for sure. And he's like, "This
There
is
you
Mara's
go.
grandma here. You gotta take care of
How
her."
often do you get recognized? I guarantee it,
time.
especially at the event we're at this week at a SHOT Show and stuff like that. I mean, you're the queen of this.
Dude, it took me forever to get here. I told Johnny, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to make it his podcast, but I keep getting stopped every 5 feet. Once you get stopped, it starts a funnel.
Yep.
And then it
Feeding
starts
frenzy.
a line, and I'm
Yep.
just like, I throw a hoodie over me and just take off running for the hills.
You
But-
could mask up.
Well,
you
thing
can be a
is, during the
Democrat.
COVID times, I had a mask. Well, I had to wear a mask because we were in LA, and I had a hat on, and I still got recognized. And I'm like, and I think it's because of my husband, because he's covered in tattoos and
It's your fault.
6'1".
That's what
So-
you're man, so damn handsome.
So they look at him, and then they're like, he looks familiar. And then they look at me, they're like, you. And then they see my tattoos, and I'm like, I can't hide even with a
So I
mask and a
think
hat
you
on.
should get a deal where your husband's always behind you in Call of Duty. It's like your backup.
No, in front. It's a human shield.
Yeah, right.
Meat shield.
That's what I use him for in real life. That's what he's my cart around SHOT Show. He's carrying my bag, my camera, the business cards. He's
Well, you know your
the
role.
mule, my packing mule.
Sweep the house and mop.
That's right.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming. Good to see you.
Yeah.
It's always good to be
I might think of better different of insurance. I don't know. You might have convinced me.
I don't know. I'm
I
about,
still might hate it a little
When
bit.
it comes up for renewal, we can give you an option.
All right. Sounds great.
We don't sell insurance. We offer partnerships.
There you go.
boom, boom. X insurance out.
Johnny will help me improve that later.
Oh, that's great. I like that. That's got to go under the logo from now on.